hello there. Happy Sunday.
Hey there.
Welcome, friends, lovers. This is 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir.
And Amy.
And this is my co-host, Amy Nasir.
Who is having a lazy Sunday. So I'm a little low energy today, just so you know.
Amy might be a little under the weather. You might want to wear a mask while you watch this episode.
I've got the Rona. Yeah, just, chill, relax with me, folks, okay? That's what I'm doing,
Well, when the comments start rolling in, that will pep you right up. Because we do have the most awesome commenters.
Like Jennifer, who says hi from YouTube.
Wonderful. Well, today is June 28th, 2020, the 180th day of the year. And there are 180 days left until Christmas.
I thought you were going to say Halloween.
Because of the way you feel today?
No, just because that would cheer me up.
Oh, well, you can, 180 days away, you can smell the cinnamon and the chestnuts roasting, the gingerbread.
Pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice. Can you smell Christmas? Smells like Christmas to me. It is 125 days until Halloween.
Good.
So, soon, very soon, for all you Halloween-minded folks.
Yes.
There are a surprising number of them. And on this date, June 28th, the Great War, World War I, was ignited with the assassination of the Archduke of Austria, Franz Ferdinand, in 1914.
1914, okay. Got that?
And exactly 5 years later, on this same date, June 28th, but in 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed,
Okay.
ending World War I.
Good.
So there you go, the 5 Years' War. Of course, we didn't enter until, 1917?
1917. And then we had a terrible time. We lost a lot of young men. And then we had the Spanish flu for 2 years. So fun.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times. But on a more cheerful note, also June 28th, Mel Brooks is 94 years old today.
Yes.
Still
Thank you,
alive
Mel
and
Brooks,
kicking.
for continuing to exist.
Yes. And as
He's
everybody
the
knows, his
best.
best films were Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
If you disagree, but you don't, of course.
You agree. You
That's
agree.
Well, Robin Hood Men in Tights was pretty good.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was good.
Really fun.
I know there's people out there saying, Spaceballs, Spaceballs.
That's good.
Okay,
That's
if that's
good.
your kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Spaceballs was funny.
Yeah.
Young Frankenstein, and especially Blazing Saddles.
We're masterpieces.
Those are masterpieces, works
Yes.
of art.
Yes.
June 28th is also Insurance Awareness Day.
Like a good neighbor.
And if your
It's
mother is your insurance agent,
Right.
as is the case for some of us,
Yes.
you have a special reason to celebrate Insurance Awareness today.
Thank you, Robert's mom, for protecting us
That's right.
from natural
Well,
disasters.
I always say your worst case scenario, have that covered, and then you can stop worrying about stuff. As I say, 3% of your time should be spent protecting yourself against disvalues.
Imagine life without worry whatsoever.
That's right.
Just imagine that.
So the other 97% of your time you can spend on values, on the
Yes.
positive.
Yes.
But that 3% of the time, call your insurance agent. Make sure you're looking good.
Right.
And hey, 15 minutes
Uh-huh.
could save you 15%.
With some insurance agency.
Or by toilet paper math, 8 minutes could save you $75 million.
That's a lot of money. Thank you, toilet paper man.
We
guy.
love toilet paper math. Because, 9 mega rolls will keep you in toilet paper for the next 10 years.
It'll take care of all the flooding in the universe. If your street floods, you just get the toilet paper out.
That's
You're
right.
Fine.
What a year. So the word of the day is ideas. Thought I'd get that out there right up front.
That's a nice idea.
The word...
Oh, God.
You are smooth. And the podcast of the week,
Yes.
and you'll see the idea of the day ideas run throughout this. The podcast of the week, the irrepressible Dr. Andrew Bernstein, whose podcasts on the state of education in America and on the topic of heroism, in conjunction with his latest book, Heroes, Legends, Champions, Why Heroism Matters.
Is that a book about himself? Because he's my hero.
He is the hero. I had that here the other day as a prop. So imagine me holding up Heroes, Legends, Champions, Why Heroism
around.
Matters.
Somewhere around our cluttered
I've showed it off
area
before.
here. Uh-huh.
But Dr. Henry Bernstein has a new series,
Yeah.
The Hero Show, which is co-hosted by John Hsieh of The Objective Standard. You should be watching that. There have been 2 outstanding episodes so far. The most recent one covered Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, I met John Hsieh at TOSCon, and I can vouch for him. He's a nice fellow.
John Hsieh is really nice and wicked smart, but not wicked in the moral sense. Among other things they mentioned, Benjamin Franklin had a list of 13 virtues.
Uh-huh.
And if you read his autobiography, his project was to improve each of these virtues. And he did them in order. So his 13 virtues, real quick, are temperance, silence, order, resolution, frugality, industry, sincerity, justice, moderation, cleanliness, tranquility, chastity.
Okay, keep going.
That was number 12. You'll laugh even more in the next one. Humility.
Oh.
Oh, gosh.
For all those people who only had 12 virtues, he'd be like, Psh, I got 13.
That's right.
The last one's humility.
Humility didn't mean, be humble. It meant be gracious.
Okay.
You've read the autobiography, so you know better.
I have.
All of his virtues really are
And
virtues.
I asked Robert, why 13? Is it because of the 13 colonies? Is it because he was anti-superstition? He just wanted to throw it back in their faces? What's going on there?
And my answer to that was, I don't know. But it was a clever question.
You just have to say, I do not know.
I do not. I wish I had a clever answer for that clever question. But I do love me a good list, 13 virtues.
Yes.
We have 5 branches of philosophy, all you oists out there. But today we're also going to talk about the 5 love languages.
Love languages. There's
last week we talked about...
I love you, ti amo. What else?
Lord knows. I'm not a foreign languages expert. I just know a lot more.
Oh, you mean those love languages by that one guy who wrote that one book. Okay.
Well, you mentioned last week Gretchen Rubin.
Yes.
And she had the 4 tendencies. So this week, 5 love languages, and then 3 languages of politics. I said last week, my promise for this week, if the new normal, people were all like, the new normal. I'm like, no, the new normal means
the new normal.
Going beyond.
Da 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 da.
If the new normal isn't just all these impositions we're facing, but rather where we'll end up on the other side of this year, this confluence of events, the viral pandemic, the social upheaval and riots and protests.
The riots.
If the new normal is what comes after all of that, what does that look like? And I said, which we're going to talk more about next week than we will this week. If you had total mastery of you,
yes, if you
of
did,
yourself,
yes,
of your responses,
if you had total mastery of yourself,
of your choices, what would that look like? What would this year look like then?
Yeah.
What would this look like if it was a growth opportunity?
So think about the rest of the, 5.5 months is left in this year?
6 months.
6 months. 6 months is left in this year.
6 months and 5 days.
And you think to yourself, okay, what do I want to do for the rest of these months? And how can I actually achieve mastery over the things that I most value?
That's right.
And what would that look like?
If this year is trying to teach you a lesson, what would that lesson be? Close quote.
Well, I just got to give a shout out to David here, who has who has integrated two of our topics in Young Frankenstein and the New Normal.
That's right.
Quote, Abby Normal.
Unquote.
Unquote. Very
good catch, David. Very good.
That's awesome.
So, in trying to figure out what is this year trying to teach me, a quote came to mind from Robert Heinlein. And the quote is, and I'm going to read this even though I know some people are watching this on video because we're going into syndication this week. So there will be audio-only versions.
Oh.
And besides, who's really staring at their phone?
Right, and so they can't see us now? You have the slide up.
Some
Cool.
people, well, we're now hidden. I can scratch my itches and do all those things you can't do with a camera. And Robert Heinlein wrote, Your enemy is never a villain in his own eyes. Keep this in mind. It may offer a way to make him your friend. If not, you can kill him without hate and quickly.
I like how that turned to something very sinister.
Well, a little, but the whole point is even if you have to kill somebody, you should be able to do it not in anger.
I see. So,
Well,
okay, so if
if it's right that he be dead,
yeah.
there shouldn't be a whole lot of turmoil. Just make it happen.
Yeah, if you're living in the Wild West and you're having a showdown at sunset, and there you go.
Yes. Yes. I don't think you have to take it literally in every context.
No, but I do love that. Your enemy is never a villain in his own eyes.
That's right, and that's the point.
Keep this in mind. It may offer a way to make him your friend.
Now, you may know why your enemy is wrong. We're not suggesting this is subjective. But that insight, knowing that your enemy is not a villain in his own eyes, is going to be crucial to understanding the 5 love languages.
Oh.
Author Gary Chapman observes that in seeking to express love and affection, and we're going to emphasize that, in communicating love and affection, not necessarily just what you think love and affection are or should be, but in communicating that to your partner, your family, your children, but especially your romantic partner, there are 5 common approaches, strategies, modalities, what he calls love languages. And these 5 are words of affirmation, not just I love you, but words expressing that you have affection for the person.
And get specific, really get to know the person you love.
Number 2, quality time. Time spent with them when you're not staring at your phone. Number 3, giving gifts, which apparently is a significant modality to a certain kind of person. You never give me anything.
What has he done for you lately?
Yes. Well, but that's number 4, acts of service.
Okay.
Yeah, what have you done for me lately? Why don't you do the laundry, make the bed, rub my feet? Oh, actually, rub my feet might fit in category 5. Last one, physical touch. So, here, we have a slide to put up. That way you don't have to
Another slide.
try to remember. Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
It's a whole chart here. You can determine a person's primary love language at first just by observing what they offer. People tend to give you what they most want. So just as one example, for words of affirmation, the way to communicate that is with compliments, affirmations, and kind words. Actions you can take include sending notes or cards. And things to avoid for somebody who receives love by words of affirmation, avoid criticism. Because they ain't going to get it as criticism, they're going to get it as, you don't love me, you don't like me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to go through all of these because, as always, the show notes will include this chart and you'll be able to look at it afterwards.
Good.
And it's part of your homework, so just bear that in mind.
So how many lists have we just mentioned? We've got Benjamin Franklin's.
Benjamin Franklin, 13 Virtues.
Gretchen Rubin.
We mentioned Gretchen Rubin briefly, and that's in last week's show notes.
Yeah, and we've got these 5 love languages.
We've got 5 love languages. And I'll just throw up on the chart because I know everybody's wondering what's my primary love language. And the reason I put this up is not because you care about my primary love language, which is incidentally words of affirmation, so now you know how to get me jazzed. But there's a quiz you can take.
Ooh.
There's a quiz you can have your partner take.
Oh.
So, in the show notes, you will see a link to the primary love language quiz. And it will tell you not only what your primary love language is, but if you look at mine, you'll see there are degrees. So 37% words of affirmation, 30% acts of service. I care what you say and I care what you do.
Okay.
And I don't know why physical touch ended up so low on the list, but That sounds so sad. Quality time and receiving gifts is the absolute lowest, which that did not surprise me at all. Your mileage will vary. So take that quiz. Share it with your partner, and with family and friends. You can do this as well. You know how to express your affection for them.
And that would be helpful for birthdays and Christmas and things like that. And there, people will say, I don't know what to get you. I have no idea what to do for somebody to show them that they love them. So
and you may well find out that you shouldn't get them something. You should take them somewhere.
Yes.
Or you should give them gifts of experience, gift certificates to events. Get them out of the house. Oh, would this be a great time to get somebody out of the house?
Somebody kidnap us both and get us out of this house.
So here's the thing. Why is Robert talking about this? The 5 languages of love, as I mentioned, are about communicating what you already feel. See, if you say, I love you, 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 if you keep saying that over and over again, it's not going to communicate what you want it to communicate.
Right.
And if you communicate it with words but never with action, or if you communicate just with action, but you never say I love you because you were uncomfortable growing up using those words, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The point is your partner's not wrong for expecting you to do nice things for them and not just use words, or vice versa. Even if they are wrong and you think, well, no, it shouldn't be about gifts, it should be... Even if that's true, you can't really understand your partner unless you know where their head is at, unless you really understand them.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Well, if that kind of list can be helpful in that way, what is this 3 languages of politics thing? And how does that relate? How does that give you peace of mind during 2020? And riots and protests and BLM and Donald Trump and COVID-19. Well,
murder hornets
that
haven't arrived yet.
But are murder hornets Democrats or are they Republicans?
Or are they libertarians? Or are they...
Well, Yaron Brook covered that, I think it was last night. And in Why Is Everything Politics Now, which could easily have been a show title I would have come up with.
Right.
And he's right. 90% of us want to cling to a tribe and say, well, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm red, I'm blue. Well, here's a way to look at that. If you are one of those things, you will love this. If you aren't one of those things, you'll love this. A writer named Arnold Kling, that's with a K, K-L-I-N-G,
Kling.
wrote a book in 2013.
Okay.
Or maybe that's when I first heard about it. But yeah, about 7-8 years ago, called The 3 Languages of Politics. As always, links to that book will be in the show notes. But also, in an interview he did with the CATO Institute, he provided a free copy for them to give out of the 2nd edition, 2017 edition. So in the show notes, you will be able to download that book for free.
Nice.
But a link to the latest version on Amazon is also there. The Audible version is good, and that is the 2019 edition, the 3rd edition, which takes into account current political events, including the presidency of Donald Trump, for which he had to add a little extra information to analyze that one. But Kling's hypothesis is about communicating between the 3 primary groups he sees in the culture. So real quick, progressives, and he uses that instead of liberal to not confuse with libertarians or classic liberals. A progressive will communicate with you in terms of the oppressed and the oppressor. And that's their axis. That's how they see things. They see other things too, but hold that for a moment.
Okay.
A progressive will communicate along the oppressor-oppressed axis.
Oh, master and servant.
Yes.
Just like that Depeche Mode song.
P for progressive. A conservative will communicate along the civilization barbarism axis. To a conservative, it's Western civilization versus those who would tear it down. A libertarian will communicate along the liberty coercion axis. So to a libertarian, yeah, that other stuff matters, but what really matters is, did the government leave me alone?
Right.
Did people impose force against me?
At least most, I should say, the majority of libertarians think that way now, I think.
So we get a chart.
Oh, another chart.
And Kling gives this explanation real quick here when he first introduces the idea, which I thought was really good. For a progressive would say, my heroes are people who have stood up for the underprivileged. The people I cannot stand are the people who are indifferent to the oppression of women, minorities, and the poor. A conservative would say, my heroes are the people who've stood up for Western values. And the people I cannot stand are the people who are indifferent to the assault on moral virtues and the traditions that are the foundation of our civilization.
Okay.
And a libertarian, and we're using that in the descriptive sense, not in the political party sense.
Right.
A libertarian would say, well, my heroes are the people who've stood up for individual rights. And the people I cannot stand are people who are indifferent to government taking away people's ability to make their own choices.
Mm-hmm.
Now, set aside for a moment any reaction you have that, well, one of those is right and the other two are wrong. There's something to that, but there's more to it than that. As I mentioned earlier, Kling's focus is repeatedly on communication and not even on determining why a given individual prioritizes a given access, much less which one is right. The value of the analysis, though, goes way beyond communication gaps. It also explains thinking gaps. Most importantly, it makes clear that the biggest rift is thinking.
Oh, okay, so, I mean, I can kind of understand that. What does this mean exactly?
Well, a lot of folks are quick to say, the people who don't think the way I do about these issues are stupid.
They're stupid.
Or they're sheep. They're followers.
Yes, that OAC is
all
stupid.
liberals, all conservatives, all libertarians, pick your poison.
Yep.
Or they're evil. They're actually malicious. They're
Right.
bad people.
Right.
Well, I'm here to tell you, it ain't about stupidity.
Yep.
It ain't about being a follower. It ain't about being evil. It's about ideas. The top takeaway from the three languages of politics and from all the rest of these discussions, what I want for you, this understanding, the present battles in politics, in culture, in everything, the present battles are battles of ideas.
That's why ideas is your word for the day.
Ideas is the word for the day. I'm just going to read real quick here one of the examples that Kling gives, just in case you're thinking about this three languages hypothesis. Well, isn't it just that one's right and the other two are wrong? That may or may not be true, but the point is to really understand your opposition.
Okay.
Because what did Heinlein say? Your enemy is never a villain in his own eyes. Keep this in mind. It may offer a way to make him your friend.
Okay.
If not, you can kill him quickly, without hate. So, here's one of Kling's examples, and he gives a bunch of them, and they're all illuminating. I just picked the shortest one to read. His example number 2, goals of tax reform. Well, for a conservative along the civilization-barbarism axis, the main priority of tax reform should be to promote traditional values. The tax code should reward hard work, thrift, and married couples with children. Traditional families, hard work, and thrift are elements of civilization. If taxation penalizes civilized behavior and undermines civilized values, then this fosters an eventual return to barbarism. For a progressive, along the oppressor-oppressed axis,
Yep.
the main priority of tax reform should be to reduce inequality. The tax code should extract unwarranted wealth from the rich and provide more public services and assistance to the poor. For a libertarian along the liberty-coercion axis, the main priority of tax reform should be to limit the size of government. Taxes ought to be minimal. The freedom to dispose of your own wealth as you wish is liberty. Taxes are obtained by coercion. There are examples that Kling gives that give an even more credible weight to each of these three approaches.
Okay.
The book is worth reading, if for nothing else than for those examples. We could go further with that. He discusses slow and fast thinking, and how, for example, when we hear a statement, we tend to use fast thinking if we already agree with the statement, and we tend to use slow thinking if we disagree with it. We will judge, we will analyze, we will be rational and logical in tearing apart our opponents,
Yes.
but we tend to just dismiss the weaknesses in statements from our own side.
I have heard about this before, yeah.
And I don't take that the way some sociologists and evolutionary psychologists do, suggesting, oh gosh, we've got all these failure modes, we're completely subjective. No, my takeaway from that is just, oh, well, let me add that knowledge to my skill set, so it's something to be on the lookout for. It's not a way of showing you're weak, it's a way of becoming stronger. But to get back to my
Good
main point,
We should do a show on that particular one thing that you just said.
we could. Except the next show we've got coming up is going to be way more exciting than that.
Yes, it will be.
So let me just recap. Current events, all events, but current events only make sense. They can only be understood as a battle of ideas. People, not just our side, the correct side, the right side, but people in general actually believe the things they believe.
No.
Yes. The problem isn't that people are stupid, nor vicious, nor hypocritical, nor insane. Yes, there's some of all of that, but that's the absolute least of our challenges.
Yeah.
The problem is that people actually believe different ideas. Different ideas about social systems, and fairness, and history, and economics, and philosophy,
Yeah.
and life.
Is this a good time for me to jump in real quick about that?
Yes.
So this goes back to the whole idea of understanding, and if you have an opponent or if you're arguing with somebody, try to figure out where they're coming from, where their head is at. And the first thing to do is understand, for me anyway, is to understand that my ideas didn't just pop into my brain at birth, that I actually developed them. I worked on them, I thought about them a lot, I read a lot of books, I studied, I carefully examined things, made sure that I was as reality based as possible with my thinking, but a lot of it is also very it's really a big part of my identity. Sometimes I kind of take it for granted, but that process, that mental process of introspecting and making sure that my ideas are right, or at least what I think my ideas are right anyway, is something that other people do too. Even people who have the opposite ideas that you do. They, at least to some extent, they may not be as thorough, they may not be as reasonable perhaps, they may not be as patient with themselves and their development, but they still come across their ideas and they accept them in some way. And they may not be as diligent, but still it's the same kind of idea in terms of how people actually come up with these 3 different political perspectives, or the 5 different love languages perhaps, maybe. But I think the commonality between those 2 lists is when you're dealing with people who are maybe, are of opposite minds than you, whether it's the love languages or political, is to take time, be patient with them, figure out where they develop their ideas, and you'll have a better appreciation for them.
I should mention, Arnold Kling, the author of the book, does not overstate his own position, but he does make clear that he comes from a libertarian perspective. So my friends who are probably half or more of that mindset may appreciate that, because he doesn't hide it, but he is remarkably objective in his analyses.
Good.
Without hiding his own views.
So did I sum that up correctly, you think?
I think so.
Okay, good.
I think so. Incidentally, I have to say, David mentioned Aristotle might disagree. There are stupid and incompetent and immoral people. And he's absolutely right. And maybe I didn't emphasize that enough when I said, yes, there is some of that, but it's the absolute least of our challenges.
Yes.
It's not the absolute least of our frustrations.
Right.
It's big on the list of frustrations.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a lot of patience. So if you want to reach out to somebody who is opposite of your viewpoint, you need to just take a step back and be patient with them, ask them questions, and don't be condescending, don't be insulting. Just see if there's any kind of common ground that you can meet on, and some kind of reason-based observations they may have that you might be able to appreciate.
Yes, and your emphasis is the same as Kling's,
Okay, good.
which is about communication.
Yes.
My emphasis is a little different. Even if you never reach out to your enemies, understanding them is crucial to having a more accurate understanding of the way the world is, and also to having hope for the future.
Yes.
And especially the objectivists in the audience should be the first people to understand that this is a battle of ideas.
Yes.
This is not a battle of just good versus evil.
Right.
And the evil people are all just evil and horrible and stupid and ignorant and sheep.
Right.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
People
it's,
actually believe the wrong ideas.
Yeah.
And that is the problem.
Right. And I think, a lot of very, good-hearted objectivists out there will fall into that conservatism, the Western civilization versus barbarism kind of viewpoint.
Keep the monuments up. Incidentally, I think we should keep the monuments up, but half of the arguments I see for keeping the monuments up comes from this we can't let Western civilization collapse mindset.
I heard, I forget who it was, sorry, but somebody very intelligent said that they should auction them off.
Auction them off.
To private buyers, and then those people can put them in their backyard or put them in a museum or however.
I like the idea. It's like the argument that you should auction off the rainforests. It is the right answer, but it's not something that's going to happen in 5, 10, or even 25 years.
It's an idea.
It's an idea. And it's an idea that expresses the right principle, even if the idea itself is a little idealistic. So, yeah, my wrap-up, the last bit of my wrap-up is the problem is that people actually believe different ideas. Different ideas about social systems, about fairness, about history, about economics, about philosophy, about life. And that truth, the fundamental fact that ideas matter, means that we face an enormous challenge. But it's also the greatest cause for hope. Because that, the battle of ideas, the battle of spreading ideas, of teaching the right ideas, that is a challenge that can be met.
Yes, and that's another reason why we need to fight against censorship or those people who want to censor thought.
It's why free speech is an absolute requirement.
Yes.
And speech codes and political correctness is antagonistic not just to liberty, but to Western civilization and to fighting oppression. So take that in all three of your axes.
Before you wrap up, do we have? I think we have some things to say.
We do. First of all, your homework, because every week we have homework. What good would a show be if you didn't have any takeaways? Something to do with it. Your homework number 1, 2 steps. Number 1, identify your love language. As I said, you can go out there and take the quiz and find out how do you most receive the message of love. And then share that with your significant other. If you are somebody who receives that message through acts of service, but they are always falling back on physical touch,
right,
you can let them know. Love it, but I need more of this other thing.
As our friend Joe would say, talk about sex. all the time. Actually, that's what he does on his Facebook wall. But
he is not shy about that.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And-
But communicate with your partner.
Yes.
Not
So
just
take the quiz.
Yes.
And share what you've learned with your partner. Share it with us too if you like. We'd love to know the results. Mm-hmm. And number 2, identify your language of politics. And then apply this understanding. Apply this to the next 2 current event stories or posts or conversations that you encounter. Apply that 3 languages understanding to it. And see if your opposition, even if you don't agree with them any more than you did, because that's not the goal, but if they're more understandable, if you can tell, oh, that's why. Mm-hmm. That's why some people think it makes sense to tear down monuments.
Right.
Some people think it makes sense to protest in this way. Some people think it makes sense to bring in the National Guard to fight the protest. Look at the 3 axes, the 3 languages of politics, and see if that doesn't make things more explicable, less
Right.
crazy, less the sense that, oh my
Yes.
God, the world's falling apart.
Or, oh my gosh, they're all out to get me because they're so evil.
They're all nihilists. They're all all they care about is destroying. All they want to do is destroy America. See
Yep.
if that doesn't help. It will.
Yes, it will.
So my Post-it note for the week, because every week I have a Post-it note that I recommend you put on your bathroom mirror or somewhere you will see it throughout the week to give yourself a little boost, a little reminder. In my Post-it note for this week says, ideas matter.
Yes. As a matter of fact, that is what Linda says, too.
Ah. Oh my gosh, she actually said that.
Yes,
and she didn't even see this.
did.
Hey, you didn't see me writing. I didn't write this after she said that.
Go, Linda. Go, Linda.
So yeah, my Post-it note says ideas
So
matter, and it
cool.
has a smiley face on it too. Because truth and values.
Because that's
Fact
art.
and value go together.
It's art.
That too. That's art. Well, speaking of art,
Yes.
I posted on my Facebook wall, I have this also as a Post-it note, from Katharine Hepburn. I never lose sight of the fact that just being is fun.
That's true.
I never lose sight of the fact that just being is fun. We focus on the positive here on 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir on values.
Yes, we
What
do.
did I say earlier? You should spend 97% of your time on values and 3% of your time fighting disvalues and insuring against them. And then just let that go. Well, if values are what matters, if values are primary,
Yes.
as I've said 1 or 1,000 too many times, then you're going to love next week's show. Mm-hmm. Next week on July 5th, we will be talking, and I mean in an interview where you can hear the voice. We have the technology for that. We just never used it.
Conversing. We'll be conversationalisting.
Of all the people that you've heard us talk about, who do you most want to hear on the show? Well, the answer, of course, is Linda Cordair of Quent Cordair Fine Arts.
Yes.
So we are so jazzed about having our first interview.
Jazz hands.
And having it be Linda Cordair of Quent Cordair Fine Art.
That is going to be so fantastic. I cannot wait.
It will be inspiring. It will be fun.
Linda is the best. She's the best. That's just all I've got to say here. Because I mean, she's just not just a thinker. She's a doer. She's a marketer. She knows how to actually take an idea and put it into reality. And that is her and Quent's beautiful art gallery, Quent Cordair Fine Art.
Well, I think I might need to add the link to the show notes, but it's posted on my Facebook wall. Mm-hmm. You can now take a virtual walk through their gallery.
I did this earlier.
So if you're thinking, their stuff's, I don't know, I guess it's okay, but I don't know why Robert and Amy are so they act like walking through there would be amazing. Now you can walk through there, and you will be amazed.
You will be amazed. I've never been there. Robert's never been there, and we need to go.
Well, we've been in the virtual gallery.
We've been in the virtual gallery.
Now,
Now,
2017.
you start this virtual
It's
gallery.
2019. I'm mixing the two up.
As you're kind of going through the first part. You're looking, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. Oh, this is beautiful. And then there's more arrows down the floor, and you keep going. And then you realize that you're in the third room, and there's more rooms to go. I mean,
so definitely do the virtual tour.
It's beautiful.
It's extraordinary.
It's really extraordinary.
Take a look at Cordair.com, the website. Look at the art. If you are so inspired, buy some art. If you're not so inspired, you will be by next week when we talk to Linda.
Yes.
About the extraordinary work that Linda and Quent do.
Yeah.
So that's coming up next week.
Cannot wait.
Other reminders. The show notes will be posted immediately after the episode. These will be the most extensive show notes I've posted. There will be links to the 5 Love Languages quiz. There will be links to the free second edition of the 3 Languages of Politics. There are links to Benjamin Franklin's autobiography and the 13 virtues that everybody should try to practice the way Poor Richard did. I can't even remember all the things there are links to. Show notes after the episode. Past shows are also available at youtube.com/Robert Nasir, where you can subscribe to the show and get my numbers up. You know, Yaron just hit 20,000 subscribers.
But he's been online for 2,000 years, so.
So I want, well, our goal now is to hit 200 subscribers. And
Yes.
and that's not an unrealistic goal. If we can make that happen before next week's interview, how awesome would that be?
You know, imagine how wonderful that idea is. And then think to yourself, how can I make that idea real? How can I put that into reality?
It's funny because Yaron did it. He was at 18, 19,000 subscribers, and he had this idea, I want to get to 20,000. And he gave himself a couple of months to do it by the end of July, I think. And he pushed it on his show, and he said, and he always does at the end of the show, but he really pushed it this time. Look, I really want to get here and make it happen for me. You guys are the ones who can make it happen. He did all the usual promotion. And it happened.
Yeah.
So weirdest thing, he asked for it and he got it.
It's like...
So I don't know, we should just say, look, I'm going to push you harder than I usually do. Get us up to 200 subscribers. Share this show. Share. And subscribe and all the things.
We love, if you're watching, you're on, we love you. Just so you know.
Oh, I'm serious when I say it's awesome that he did that.
Not stop talking about you. I mean, really.
So, get us to 200 subscribers.
Yes.
Yeah,
200.
you can do. Well, it's because our fan base is Facebook. Mm-hmm. So, you know,
although we have actually quite a few people on YouTube today, so thank you so much.
Oh, that's so cool.
We've got Jennifer, we've got Cynthia, we've got Mary Aline. Thank you, and we have
people
Linda.
Actually heard when I said this last time. Yeah. I mean, I love that everybody's on Facebook, and I'm a Facebook kind of guy.
Yes.
But yeah, this is great. So
this is wonderful.
Anyway, past shows on YouTube.com. You can subscribe. Past shows are also at Facebook.com, in my video feed and on my wall. If you want to support us, and love to everybody who is supporting us already, Patreon.com/Robert Nasir. If you don't want to use Patreon, send me a message and I'll give you a PayPal email address. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Anything else in the comments there before we wrap?
Oh, you know, we have a lot of wonderful comments here, and
probably too many to. Well.
Oh, Echo just joined us. Hi, Echo. Love you, Echo.
So we'll let you all read and share your comments there. We'll respond to them after the show because we've already gone on 5 minutes and maybe a little bit over. And.
But I think this was really good. I think that you all have a lot of studying to do and a lot of integrating to do. All of those lists.
And the studying's all fun. When you see Kling's book, whether you order it or look at the PDF, you'll see it's not long.
Yeah.
It reads fast. The Audible version's very good too. I took it in both ways. Listened to it before I read it, and that's a good read as well.
Hey, I know what we can do. We can take Benjamin Franklin's 13 Virtues, Gretchen Rubin's Four Tendencies, Kling's 3 Political Perspectives, and was it Chapman's 5 Love Languages.
Yes.
You take all those ideas, you put them into a hat. And then
ideas in a hat.
You can play concepts in a hat, and you can pull 2 of them out
and relate them,
and you can integrate them and how they what the relationship is.
How do you relate chastity to your physical touch love language?
I don't think you can.
Okay, those might be the wrong 2 examples to use. No, we could make it happen. We could. I'll do it on my Facebook wall later.
I'm not touching you. Chastity. No. Oh boy, that's funny. But yeah, no, that would be really fun. Concepts in a hat.
That's right.
Integrate.
There's so much good stuff in there. So enjoy your homework. Enjoy the show notes. Enjoy the next week. Especially be here next Sunday at 6 o'clock when we will be talking to Linda Cordair.
Linda Cordair of Cordair Fine Art.
And until next week, we wish you success, flourishing, more supportive ideas and communication skills, more peace with the state of the world. Yes. It will get better.
Oh, yeah.
And we wish you love.